As you can see, there's plenty hawthorn on this particular bush at the Barwick, so I'm making full use for my medicine, and I should probably pick about 5 kilos altogether, which should do sufficient quantities of the particular cordial for the year. These ones here are quite not so ripe, so I could concentrate on the ones which are ready for picking. Another week and the rest of them should be at the same level for harvesting. Okay, so what you've got to do is you've got to select an area of these hawthorns on the hedges or the trees, because they grow into sizable trees. But you don't want to be on trees because they're thorny branches, and so you need good protective gloves and certainly a long-sleeved protective gear. So try and stay away from the trees if you can. If you get a hedgerow, which this is what I was about to say, I never pick from the same location 2 years in succession. I always change my location. So this year, that was 2017, I went to the Barwick. Simon, who is resides in the Crieff area, will understand Barwick is on the way to Loch Turret. So that was my location in 2017, and I got a bountiful crop of really good quality hawthorn berries. Now, another thing not to do is, because I find that if you strip the hedges completely bare, in a way you actually lose the aesthetics of the countryside, because people out walking or passing, they don't want to see a bare hedge, they want to see it filled with autumn berries and stuff. So keep that in mind, and that also keeps the fairies contented as well. Now, on a hedgerow of this magnitude, which I was picking from, there was ample space and ample ripe berries to meet my quota of 5 kilos. Now, I've seen me on many autumns in the harvest period having to lug rowan berries or rosehips or elderberries or the hawthorns themselves, whatever, long distances. So bear that in mind if you've not got any vehicle and you're not with a reasonable radius of where you're picking from. Remember, the weight that you've got to carry home is could be sometimes quite excessive. So I think it was on this occasion I picked about 5 to 7 kilos, which is ample for my winter supply. I split it between cordials and jellies. That's what I was suggesting in the video upload at the start. So what to do is you gather the berries, which I say is very time consuming. You'll need about 8 hours, and that's not a joke, to gather 5 or 7 kilos of berries comfortably. And once you've got the berries, I mean, that's enjoying it. So try and get a nice dry day, a sunny day, just to enjoy yourself as well. But it's quite an exertion to do this job, and but the satisfaction you get from it is absolutely immense, especially in a January night when you go and get yourself a cordial of hawthorn. But what I'm going to say to you is, you've gathered all your berries, you've got home, and the next thing you're going to do, which is the point where most people tend to not wish to continue, because it's again, it's a very, very time-consuming thing to do. But you've got to wash these berries. So what to do is not try and get them all washed at once. You've got to get some organisation here. So you'll take I take a colander, and I'll put that amount in a sink full of fresh water. And not only are you washing the berries, but you've also got to dehusk them. So in essence, you're taking all the twigs and leaves and all that sort of stuff. And when you're gathering hawthorn, there is a chance that you'll gather lots of debris as well as the berries. It's just the nature of the business. So you're best to have something to recycle by your side to put all the residue in. And I'm saying it's these thorny twigs and leaves and all this stuff. But once you've got the routine started, you'll find you'll be able to manage through your 5 to 7 kilos fairly swiftly. And as I say, I've been doing it for a number of years, so I'm pretty well experienced and knowledgeable about how I approach the whole task. And as I say, I can swiftly get through this stuff now, but not so much in the early stages when I was trial and error, basically. So having taken all the berries and washed them thoroughly, and then you've dehusked and detwigged them all, you will have a load of berries which now have to be cooked off. What I normally do is I take my large saucepan and I'll put in a couple of colanders of berries, and just fill the water up to the level of the berries and allow that to simmer. Now, as the water reduces, you can transfer the berries into another pot and continue this process. So as I say, you've got to be pretty methodical, and you've got to be making sure that these berries are cooked off thoroughly. Not because you're going to eat the berries, but it's to extract all the juices, because that's what you're wanting, is all the juices within the berries, which contains all the goodness and all the flavour, of course. Because you will eventually have to discard all the outer shells and skins of the actual berries. So simply you're simmering away, and then what you'll do is you'll start to mash the berries which are in the pot. But in the process of doing so, you can judge an awful lot by eye. What I normally do is I got an old potato masher, and I'll just kind of strike that down onto the berries themselves, and eventually you will feel them getting softer and softer until they're almost at a mush. Now, what happens there is you've got to have a setup already made. Now, I've got it's a very expensive one-off purchase, but it's done me for years. And it's a funnel type jelly bag of really high quality, and basically it's a kind of strainer for the berries, so none of the berry juice will come out of the sides. The cloth itself will be discoloured by the berry juice, but what you're wanting is all the juice to go through the funnel and gather in a separate pot, which I have balanced on the below the jelly bag itself. You can get a fine mesh strainer or a cheesecloth or something of that nature if you want, but I find a really good quality jelly bag does the trick, and you can fill that with a jug full of berries from the pot. And as I say, it's a really methodical business to get this done correctly, and there's an awful lot of it is down to good timing. So I'm saying experience comes really important for this one. So don't get upset if you're starting to struggle with this. It's a wee bit trial and error, but simply what we're saying here is you get the berries all boiled down to a soft mush, then transfer them from the pot into the jelly bag and allow the juices just to run into a secondary pot. It's got to be a large pot as well, and you can either have that balanced below or even the floor itself. But the further away it is, there's always going to be splashes and drips that you don't want, because you're going to lose valuable elements of the juice. So once that secondary pot is then reasonably filled, don't allow it to get too filled, because once you start to add the sugar will raise the levels of the liquid, and you may well find when it starts to bubble and boil that this will start to flow over the sides, so you don't want that at all. So again, trial and error. But the whole method of doing this is to get a juice. Now, like making any jam or jelly, adding sufficient sugar to the berry is absolutely essential. So it's crucial to how this is going to work out. And sorry to hark on, but again, it's experience. So what you want is a kind of solid jelly stuff, which is going to be transferred into sterilized jars. What I do with the sterilized jars, a lot of people put them in the oven, but what I do is I boil a third pot with constantly boiling hot water. So I keep topping it up till it's boiling away. And I use tongs to stick the jam jars, which haven't got any labels on them, of course. And I stick the jam jars and lids into the boiling water, and I keep doing that, because what you want to do is you need to have the jars as hot as possible when the liquid goes in, because if they're cold, you will find you'll crack the glass. So they've got to be hot as well. So see what I mean? It's all mythology and planning, and obviously a lot of work and involved. So don't be asking anyone to phone you during this period. Ignore all text. Switch off your mobile phone. Switch off your computer. Do whatever you've got to do, but you need absolute peace and hush for this one. But as I say, once the process has begun and you've got it from the berries through the jelly strainer bag into the final pot for the sugars to be added, then you're almost there. When that occurs, allow that hot liquid to cool slightly. You don't want it too hot, but allow it just to cool sufficiently. It will start to form into a jelly, and at that stage, that's when you transfer it into individual jars. I normally use a plastic funnel, because it's easier washed. I've got a metal one which you can immerse in boiling water, and that does for the larger jars. But for the bottles, for cordial, I tend to use the plastic smaller nosed funnel, and that works suffice. So with the cordials, it doesn't have to be in a jelly formula. It can be a much more thinner liquid. So what I'm suggesting to you here just now is you make these in 2 separate batches if you're doing cordials or jellies. I tend to use a lot of the elderberries for cordials, but that's another story for another day. We're concentrating on this Hawthorn jelly and Hawthorn cordial, and with the when I say concentrate, that's exactly what you'll get from these berries, a concentrate which is absolutely packed full of amazing amounts of vitamins and minerals, very, very high in vitamin C. And Hawthorn itself, whether taken in the raw leaf stage in the spring, or whether you're taking a tonic from the actual florets in the month of May, that goes from leaf to flower. It's very unusual for a plant to come into leaf and then go into flower, but that's the way the hawthorn does it. So you see these white trees in the springtime. These are generally the hawthorn tree. It looks like snow. There's so much blossoms on over the leaf. These can be used as a tea, and these are highly nutritious as well. But the end result being the berries. The berries are very, very good for your heart. So if you've got any heart conditions and stuff, obviously take that with professional medical advice. But hawthorns are known for their health benefits for the heart and the respiratory system and the blood supply in the body. So really good stuff. I'll put more information about hawthorn, the benefits, at the end of the video. Hopefully I've not talked too much, but I just wanted to try and get as much information so you're kind of aware of what's going on. I'll put some pictures up for you